This is a dangerous groups that we're dealing with now. It was a nightmare.
Flight 807, you're clear for landing. Runway 7, Bravo. All personnel report to the nearest tornado shelter. This is not a drill.
If you need help, then dial your operator.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is here.
Good morning and welcome to this week's edition of The Mediator with me, your host, Brian West, here to give you the top 8 headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. Now, as usual, I'll give you the top 8 local headlines and developing news stories that made it first, followed by a movie clip, a skit, a trailer, or something that's going on in the community, or maybe some pictures. And then I'll give you the top 8 international headlines and developing news stories that made it, folks. So let's waste no time. Ooh, yeah. Let's get to it. Story number 1. 30 years is a long time, folks. 30 years Youngstown Steel Museum has been in business. The Valley has several long-lasting museums, with many documenting the history of the Valley and serving some main tourist sites as well for locals. As to people like the tourism comes to these places, and people visiting from around the state like to see these museums. And one museum has stood for 30 years, and that's the Youngstown Steel Museum. Big headline. Story number 2. Fire is in the news, folks. Fire is in the headlines after another fire destroys a local home. Well, local homes was a duplex. This time it was a duplex on the west side. The fire was so bad that a police officer had to be treated for smoke inhalation. He inhaled the smoke after helping 2 tenants get out of the burning structure. Now, the story doesn't mention if the police helped him out, but it does mention that he did suffer some smoke damage inhaling the smoke. Now, according to another local report, crews needed 30 minutes to put out the fire and were at the scene for 90 minutes. Now, the article also states that a firefighter had to be treated for heat exhaustion and minor burns on his hand and shoulder. Local fire crews have been very busy lately, and many departments have been making headlines outside of fighting fires as well. That means they've had other things going on. Now, one baby kitten was lost in the fire. Everyone else got out safely, even another cat. Now, one firefighter was also treated for debris that got into his left eye, according to a local Vindicator article. Story number 2, that's why I made it this week. Story number 3. What will unions do for Altium Cell? Several local articles are hinting that Altium Cell workers are planning to unionize. United Auto Workers has made several headlines. The main conversation regarding local unions has always been cost, need, and effectiveness. If they're needed, how much they cost, and how effective are they? So now with United Auto Workers in the building, there could be some union talks for Altium Cell. There are mixed opinions when it comes to unions locally. The story is still developing, and what effect it will have on Altium Cell if they do plan to unionize is yet to be known. That's why story number 3 made it this week. Story number 4. What is the hype surrounding local sports betting? What now after the state has awarded Hollywood Gaming 2 sports betting licenses? The headline shines light on House Bill 29, which legalizes and regulates sports gaming in Ohio. It's important to note that the local article also points out how most of the jurisdiction will be in collaboration with the Ohio Lottery Commission. A lot of conservatives are not in favor of state gambling, and those who are affected were not mentioned in the article. There are a lot of people who get addicted to gambling and lose a lot of money and spend a lot of unnecessary money that they don't have. So story number 4 is so important. Story number 5. What's going on in Dan Yiba's camp? September 9th, more headlines began to emerge about Dan Yiba, the Mahoning County treasurer. The treasurer's office. Now, there has been more news in circulation about the Mahoning County treasurer's business, Dan Yiba. The stirrup is about recent news pointing out how the state auditor's office has been cited for failure to provide information to allow the county treasurer's office and county auditor's office to reconcile timely county financial records from June through December. If you are yes, that's what the article says, from June through December. That's from June through December. So they're looking for some stuff, looking for some records, and that's what the story is about. Now the article goes on to talk about how money has come up missing. That's another talking point in this article. Now there were a few Vindicator articles that go on in detail describing what has been taking place within the treasurer's circle, but the September 9th front page report is the one that goes in more detail about what has been taking place inside of Dan Yiba's circle. I mean, they're trying to be as accurate as possible, so the article does go into detail. Now there was another article that published September 13th saying that Dan Yiba also made some headlines because of DUI allegations. Drinking while being drunk, or driving while being drunk. This story is still developing. That's what story number 5 made it this week. Big story number 6. Grant money all over the place to combat drugs. September 8th, a front page article about a local drug task force being awarded $20,000 to disrupt the local drug trade while also promoting substance use and awareness, along with prevention and recovery, stuff that will be covered within this money. So this also all surface, and this is what the $20,000 will be used for. Then September 11th, another headline about a $125,000 grant to boost a drug program surface. Another one. So they're putting the money towards the drug. Now, these stories highlight the growing concern about the cost of combating the local war on drugs, but also highlights the roots of the drug problems which affected families, which all these people who have been affected by the drugs all know too well. And they know they put people in these programs. Some of them don't make it out. Some of them don't even, some of them escape. So some of them don't even want to go. But it takes a real big person to admit they need help. And they're also trying to combat the drug problems coming into the city by combating the by going against the drug dealers. That's what's all in the story. Now, if the grant will be effective in stopping the continued drug problems is what got the story in, and that's the big question. That's why story number 6 almost made it to the top 2 this week. Big story number 7 in the top 2 local headlines and developing news stories that made it this week, folks. For you, keep you informed, folks. I got something to tell you about something that's going on. I've done my research. You got to hear it. You got to be informed. You got to know about it. You got to know so it can sharpen you up. That's all I'm here for, to give you the top 8 stories. That's all I've been made for. I was made to do this. Story number 7. The small percentage causing local crime is creating headaches for the majority. Yes, it is. The 2 to 3%, 4% of people causing the most crime are causing headaches for the rest, the majority. Now, a headline about human bones found on the east side of Youngstown is just another attention-grabbing story. Sadly, the remains of Amy Hambrick, who went missing November 11th of 2017, has been found. I believe it was 2017 or 2019. I believe it was 2017. She was found on the city's east side. That's pretty scary. Now, the investigation is still on, but closer. But it's getting. But the thing is about it is that they're getting closer to seeing what effect that the businesses had, and we're also seeing the lasting effect that that these stories are having on the valley, and how they continue to plague the community. And that's what got the story in, because these stories you unravel, and you see investigation, you see how cruel the world can actually be. Now, the alarming trend of how many of these local stories go unsolved is also a factor. Amy was the mother of a 10-year-old girl, so she did have a life, but seeing her remains found, this is a very, very sad story. It adds another sad story to local news. That's why story number 7 almost made it to the top this week. Big. Story number 8 at the top. Local headline and developing news story that made it this week. Folks, as a child, I would run to the finish line. But now I'm running through the top 8 stories for you to keep you informed. My legs have given out, but I'm still vibrating and circulating, choo-choo, blasting through the finish line to give you the top 8 stories, folks. Story number 8, preparing for the next storm isn't that easy. September 13th, Boardman trustees gathered with local township residents to discuss what recent storms have done to their homes. The article notes that 100 people were in attendance after Boardman got more than 4 inches of rain in 3 hours, according to the report. 3 to 4 feet of flooding was also noted. This is not the first time that Boardman has made news in regards to flooding. If the flooding problems can be solved remains unknown, but continued unsolved flooding woes is what got this story in. Now, at the moment, it seems that the sanitary system is being cited as the main cause for the problem. The story is still developing, folks. Well, those are our top 8 local headlines and developing news stories that made this week. I'll be right back with the top 8 international headlines and developing news stories. So don't you go anywhere. You're the Mediator, me, Brian West. I'll be right back. Tune in and don't forget to subscribe to Method 8 Inc. YouTube channel. You can also watch free public entertainment. And don't forget to show some support by visiting www.method8inc.com by buying something, clicking something, watching something, or just reading something. You can also sponsor a program as well. That's www.method8inc.com. Buy stuff, watch stuff, or read stuff.
I'm gonna schedule you back in about a week, alright? Put you on 10 milligrams. If you need any refills, you gotta let me know, alright?
I didn't become a doctor to drug people.
Give up on your dream, John. You cannot cure crazy.
But he's one of my patients.
No, patience! Well, tell him to stop coming here and robbing me!
Are you married? I see your ring. Yeah.
But all I know is I need you and you will need me.
Why don't you have your wedding photos up?
Well, I have my reasons for that.
No! You don't know anything about my patients, Kathy! You don't know anything about what these kids, these parents are going through out here. There's a jungle out here, Kathy! So stay in your lane!
I don't have a chemical imbalance. I just want to go home. Together, we can make magic. Please don't leave me this way!
I'm gonna need therapy after this! Who gonna check and see if I'm okay?
Hey, Doc. Don't let me down. Because those meds, they're working.
Tuned in this week to the Mediator podcast, Listen and Learn segment with me, your host, Brian West. Kathy Polk-Rivdak will be talking about Protestant Family Services, a nonprofit and food pantry locally, a faith-based agency serving the community since 1944. Check us out this week. Me and Kathy will be discussing things that will be headed into the holidays, challenges for all nonprofits. Check it out, Kathy Polk-Rivdak, this week on the Mediator Listen and Learn segment with me, Brian West. Welcome back. Now it's time to get to the top 8 international headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. Folks, this sports stuff, the sports betting is getting out of hand. It really is. Heard of a man who got so superstitious about sports, he didn't want to lose all his money. So everything that he thought was causing him bad luck, he got rid of. Got an argument with his wife. His team was losing by 3 points. His wife would walk across the room. Another team would score a touchdown. Do you know that the man, after his team, every time his wife would walk by and his team would lose another ball or get other team would get another touchdown, he got upset with his wife and told her she was bad luck and he wanted a divorce. He kicked her out. Folks, this sports betting, this sports, it's getting out of hand. People getting in fights at games. People are biting each other like Tyson. They're getting upset. Can't control themselves because of sports. Yeah. Folks, if it gets that bad, people are losing their whole paychecks, getting superstitious, praying for a win at the altar. Very superstitious. That is on the wall. If you believe in things that you don't understand, then you suffer. La, la, la. Superstition is the word. Sports betting is the story of the week, folks. Somehow it's got to be contained. That's my story for the week. Let's get to it. Story number 1. The climate change stories are hanging on, folks. With the death toll rising to 1,400 in Pakistan, the floods, and a 6-month wait for the deadly floodwater to recede. Now the concern is about waterborne diseases that could cause outbreaks. The damages are projected to total about more than $30 billion, according to a CNN World report. The country is in dire need of aid while also facing massive food shortages. Many are citing climate change as the reason for such strange weather patterns, while others just feel that the Earth goes through different weather pattern cycles at times. That's why story number 1 made it this week. Story number 2. Will strikes actually solve anything? Workers at 2 big British ports are talking strikes, folks, and it has a lot to do with money. What else would it have to do with? The CNN business report says that strikes are planned from September 27th to October 5th after a majority vote rejected a 7% pay raise offer, I believe it was. Now, the talk now is about what seems inevitable, which are delays and disruption in the UK's United Kingdom supply chain. An American Union railroad contract has also been in the works as making headlines, causing more workers strike talks in the United States railroads. This is what it is. These stories are still developing because they're making headlines. Story number 2, big headline. Story number 3. How is the military doing in all of this mess, folks? To get through inflation, the Army is suggesting food stamps for soldiers. Military families have been quietly asking for help, with small stories surfacing from here and there about the hardship that military families are going through. Now, living conditions and housing for military families are also a concern. More families are focused on better pay and access to more needed resources. Now, although there are many programs in place to assist military families, many felt forced to take COVID-19 treatments. This is just adding to the fire, with the treatments being against their religious beliefs. So a lot of families are being tied and cornered with a lot of stuff that's going on politically. Now, so far, the question of everything, of all this could be how this story will emerge when it comes to the rights of military men and women. And this is what's being asked: is do military women and military men have special rights? Families, should they be able to have special rights when it comes, or should they be placed in a mandatory protocol? That's why story number 3 is so controversial, and that's why I made it in this week. Big head. Story number 4. Some people are taking the security of themselves, of their villages. They're taking security measures. They're taking it and putting it in their own hands. That means they're hiring people to secure them. They're doing it themselves instead of the police. Now, while policing shortages in many parts of America remain a problem, with policing shortages, this remains a part of America's problem. One story in Portland made national headlines after a group of residents in the region took precautions to protect themselves to avoid being attacked due to rising crime. So they decided to hire their own force of people to help and protect them. Now, the story goes on to explain how many are just losing faith in the police, period. Now, I don't know how this happened, but it's making news. Now, other reports talk about how Seattle police is facing a 30-year low in police officers after defunding. Now, what is keeping the stories alive is the fact that crime is on the rise, and if you needed police, now probably would be the time to have police patrolling and doing their job, not defunding them. But we'll see how the story develops over time. Well, folks, those are our top 4 international headlines and developing news stories that made this week. I'll be right back with the top 4. So don't you go anywhere. You're the Mediator, me, Brian West. I'm right back. If you want to check out the stories that almost made it in or did make it in, go to our Twitter feed on our website. Check out everything. All of the sources are there. It goes to the website. It's method8inc.com, method8inc.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or just sponsor a program. Welcome back. Welcome back. Now it's time to get to the top 4 international headlines and developing news stories that made it, folks. A lot of people are going through this enlightenment period. You have people thinking that they're supreme and better than other people, even in regards to their race, color. Some people are thinking they're superior. Some people are finding their roots, their genealogy. You've got Egyptologists, Christians, Jews, Muslims. I mean, all these different sects of society believing that, you know, some people believe that their race or code of conduct is superior. So I come across a lot of these people. Sometimes I even dibble and dabble in a little bit of myself, but it actually gets me nowhere. I actually have to get things done. I have to still work. I have to make money to support myself. I also have to keep myself busy before I wither away. But I do dibble and dabble a lot of books about this stuff. So I came across a good friend of mine, and we were talking about this new third eye thing where you could concentrate on what you need and get what you want. All right. So the other day I put some money in the ground and I concentrated and I used I said I'm going to use my third eye to grow me some more money to invest to create my nest egg. Folks, I literally got nowhere, but I did come across some quarters on the ground and decided to pick them up, not knowing that I was breaking the law. But I guess this third eye thing takes a little time, so I'm focusing on something. I'm trying to focus on maybe healing my grandmother so she can live 10 more years. She's in the hospital. So they're saying that if you concentrate and you focus on your inner power, you can meditate and things will manifest. It's getting me nowhere, folks. So, but I did try to plant some money and see if it would grow. Nothing happened. I tried to focus and concentrate, meditate. Nothing happened. I'm still in the same position that I was in yesterday and hoping for the best. You can find yourself in some amazing situations in America, believing some amazing things that are supernatural, but at the end of the day, you find yourself alone in a room with the same thing that you were doing yesterday, and that's hoping and praying for a blessing. And to stay positive and stay happy, folks. Well, that's my story. Let's waste no time. Let's get to it. Story number 5. Get up off your feet and do something. Use your third eye to concentrate on getting something done. Sitting around and getting nothing done is not going to get you anywhere. Story number 5. Whew, the drug game is real. Speaking of your third eye, people are trying to get high. 11 fatal overdoses reported in USA Today after a man sold fentanyl online that was similar to Alderall. Texas border officials seized more than 266 pounds of meth at the U.S.-Mexico bridge. These are just 2 of the many stories in circulation about how people are playing and winning the drug game. These are also real deal drug stories making real deal headlines, folks. The main concern is how many drugs are actually out there, have actually been made, and how many have actually gotten to the country without even being detected. That's the real question. There's a lot of drugs out there, folks. People are even making them in the kitchen. That's pretty scary. Story number 5. That's why it's made in this week. People are breaking the rules, and a lot of people are still getting away with it. Big headline. Causing a lot of devilish, evil stuff. Story number 5. Big headline. Story number 6. The number 1 question. Is the renewable energy push even worth it? Is it going to save us anyone? Is it going to save the planet? One BBC study says that switching to renewable energy could save trillions of dollars. According to the study, the switch could save the world as much as $12 trillion by 2050. Now, this is according to an Oxford University study. This report is facing a lot of opposition, though, due to the rising cost of gas and oil prices. Many feel that the green energy push is unrealistic. So far, climate change is pushing all of these shifts and policies, and a lot of people just don't feel like it's worth it. People need proof. That's what they want, that green energy can accommodate a large power grid outside of just backing things up, backing the power grid up. This story is still developing. That's why story number 6 almost made it to the top 2 this week. Big. Story number 7 and the top 2 international headline and developing news story that made it this week. Step right up. 45, 35. Got a story. Story number 7. Story number 7. The migrant story has to stay alive, folks. Yes, the immigration story has to stay. The stories have to stay alive. This is getting bad. The migrant fight is getting bigger, folks. Illegal immigrants who entered the U.S. since Biden took office, according to an analysis, could cost taxpayers $20 billion a year. That's a lot of money. Now, the humanitarian workers trying to save lives at any cost, some may take a different outlook on these costs. And this is what has the story trending. I mean, they may look at the humanitarian aid side of it, saying that we should be sympathetic for our own people. But a lot of people are saying these people are breaking the law. Something needs to be done. Nobody knows what to do. The system is broken. Now, we're talking about more than 1.7 million migrants. There were 1.7 million migrant encounters in 2021, and more than 2 million in 2022. That's increasing. It's bad. One Fox News headline focuses on how migrants are killing dogs and stealing from homes, causing a lot of people who are living at the border, they're causing them to arm themselves in these towns. So they're starting to take matters into their own hands now. This story is still developing. It always made it to the top this week. The migrant stories, the immigration stories have to stay alive to get something done to be able to handle this problem. That's our story number 7. Big. Story number 8 and the top international headline and developing news story that made it this week. Folks, I'm opening up a card. I'm opening up a gift. I'm switching pages, and I'm telling you a story that could be useful for your brain power, could enlighten you and give you superhuman strength, like the Mediator. Story number 8. Everyone is preparing for the worst. That's not good news. According to one USA Today report, rents are rising at the fastest pace in 40 years. Financial giant Goldman Sachs made headlines in a BBC article. The company is set to lay off hundreds of workers. The company is citing reduced profits as the reason. Companies are also looking at the economic outlook and how people have had to cut expenses to survive. Goldman Sachs profits were down 48% in the second quarter. Its investment bank division generated revenues of $2.1 billion, down 41% compared to a year ago, according to a BBC report. Now, the big question now is if COVID-19 or the war in Ukraine caused all of this, which many feel it did, and there is also recession talk in the news, folks. Well, folks, those are our top 8 local and international headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. I hope you got something out of today's program. I always get something out of doing the research. As usual, I'd like to thank all the news outlets, the people on the front lines, the journalists. You deserve all the credit. The media, I'm just the mediator, the man in the middle, the reporting and navigating and dissecting your stories to keep everybody informed. If you want to show us some support here at Method 8, it does not take much. All you have to do is visit the website on the screen, buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or just sponsor a program. Folks, thank you so much for tuning in this week. I'll be back next week looking through over 200 or more stories to keep you informed. Have a good week, everybody. Thank you for tuning to The Mediator with me, Brian West. Peace.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is here.